She looks like she's protecting the narcos, and yeah, she is. She's protecting her political interests. You see, that's who financed her. Everybody knows it. But in America, people would argue with me for many, many years when I moved down here. Oh, it's so bad down there. And then I go, have you ever been here? And then they come and they're like, how come you get to live like this? And that was when I was living in the city of La Paz, which is the capital. They go, but this is like, man, you have, yeah, more freedom. We can go to the beach and camp out. We can surf anywhere we want. We can camp where we surf. We can go out to the islands and go. There was no need for permissions to do any of this stuff. Whereas in America, where I grew up surfing in California and Oregon, it's illegal to be on the beach after 10 o'clock at night. We used to camp on the beach and go, moonlight surfing or dawn patrol, as we call it. We're up with the sun surfing the waves before the crowds got in. And, we camp on the beach at 15 years old. Nobody, no cops, nobody gave, they didn't care. We have a bonfire down on the beach, and now you can't do any of that stuff. So,
It's
uh,
crazy.
yeah. And
I
they'll claim it's property. I mean, it's population, so we have so many more people. I don't buy it. It's a control. It's the governments all over the world are trying to gain control over their citizens more and more. And the more they grab for that control, it's like the people are going to be sand or water in their hands going through their fingers. Black markets are going to be created globally. They're going to create this supply chain problem. They're going to try and control the food, the water, the energy, the gasoline, everything. And as they do that, humans will find ways around it. And Bitcoin is one of those fantastic tools for getting around things. It's not just for that purpose. It's just the fact that it's a nature of a decentralized money supply. And it's the same thing we need with food, is a decentralized food. Same thing with energy, because once you decentralize it, they can't control it. There's no head of the snake to literally throw in jail. That's why X is a fantastic space, place to meet and talk, but at the same time, Noster's better, in my view, because Noster's decentralized. And people say, oh, yeah, it's not there yet, but it's still being used. And I believe there'll be a time when people realize it's really the only way to go. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, look what they've done to Iran. Look what they're trying to do in Europe. In certain parts, they're trying to make X illegal. He's one man. They can really mess with him like they did in Brazil.
I like the freedom aspect is just crazy for me. I wanna just double click really quick on the banking thing, because I think you said something really interesting, and I heard that recently actually on a podcast with this real estate guy, Robert Kiyosaki. He said something that like kind of stuck in my head. He said, if you owe the bank 20 million, that's your problem. If you owe the bank $1 billion and you can't pay it back, it becomes the bank's problem. So they want you to give you more money. They are on your side. They wine and
Oh,
dine you.
somebody to help bail you out. Yeah, they have to, because you've put them in that position. That's what Grant Cardone was talking. It's the same. Yes, it's been known for many, many years. You have to get to the size that all of a sudden you're such a big client, you determine how the bank deals with things, not them. But that's not a fair playing. I mean, when your mortgages are sold and resold, and the game that they play with derivatives and selling loans and all this, it's like they're making more money on something they've already made money on. They keep getting, and this is the game that Wall Street plays. They get so many hands. It's the same thing in the food production. When you produce food in one part of a country and then harvest it, store it, transport it halfway around the world, store it again, get it to a distribution center, store it again. There are so many hands, so many people touching your food along the way. All of them have to get paid. How do they get that food? And that food is 6 months harvested, maybe up to a year before you eat the fruits or vegetables, they claim now. That's absurd. One, I don't think it's nearly as nutritional food as if you harvest it and eat it within weeks of harvest. And I guarantee you, with all those hands touching it and that distance and that time away from the farm before it's actually eaten, it's being gassed or it's being sprayed, stored, all even the organic they're finding. They're gassing organic bananas. They have to be able to ship them in and out of countries and things. So people don't realize there's really the only way to get an organic banana is to buy it locally. And this is what kills me, is they make it very difficult for Americans, for instance, in some countries, for people to buy locally from their neighbors. It's illegal. You can't grow food in your garden and sell it down the street. I did that as a kid. That was how I made income. And I did very well with it as a kid in California, and it wasn't illegal. Everybody thought it was cute, but we also had milkmen that delivered the milk, you see. And we need to go back to food delivery for the cities and suburbs. We need to have many more food delivery companies, not big box stores. See, it's the nature of a Walmart, a Costco, these big box stores that have the box food, the box meat. Okay, first off, it's convenience to have all that and walk into a store and look at all the selection. But the reality is it any good? And I mean, is it any good as fuel for your body? Is it non-toxic? Is it healthy? You know, U.S. Congressman made the comment many years ago, and I heard it. I just cracked up. Good point. You go into grocery stores in America, and they have an aisle that says health food. What's the rest of the stuff?
That's a fun one. Like that's the healthy stuff. It's like 1/10 of the store, probably not even that healthy. And if that's the healthy stuff, like 90% of the store is not healthy then.
What they're saying is this isn't, and to me, it's not healthy food. It's what I call food. When I talk about milk, I'm referring to fresh milk, raw milk. That's milk. Everything else is pasteurized or modified. See, in America right now, I just watched a Twitter just before we came on, post where a woman is bought $18 steaks, opens it up, and she's stretching it out, and it's like Play-Doh. And she's just like, what is this made of? Like, this isn't meat. And 3 of the 4 were pretty good, but one of them was just horrible. But she goes, I don't think I'm going to eat this. Like, it literally stretched out in a way that is not natural. Meat doesn't fall apart like that. It's glued together. It's something else, right? And so I just saw also that they're in America come up with new ways of saying bioengineered or GMO. They don't say that now. They say cultured or culturally grown or cell culture. You know, they're using euphemisms, what we call it, anything to not let you know that it really isn't real food.
So they're saying cultured instead of lab grown.
Right. They don't want to say that. They don't want to say bioengineered or lab grown because but that's what it is. And that's what people are going to hopefully see. The beauty of this is one of those things that's falling apart. That we've got so convenient, so great at distributing garbage. Now what's happened is the garbage is going to get expensive. The big box stores are going to get expensive because of the price of diesel and because of the difficulty in getting things. So as the supply gets more difficult, it could get to where there's not as much stuff, and the stuff that there, it's going to be a premium. But that also means that the local ranchers and farmers, like what I buy my meat, their price hasn't changed at all. During COVID, I still pay the same price for the last 7 years per kilo for my ribeye and tomahawks as I have for 7 years from the same butcher. And I asked her, and she goes, "Well, we upped our price, after COVID, just like a year ago, they upped it like 10%, but because you buy so much, you still charge you the 400 pesos a kilo." I said, "Oh, thanks," and I'm a good client. I basically buy all my meat once a month. I go into her butcher and I just buy 30, 40 steaks, and because I'm a carnivore and that's what I live on, and it's incredibly healthy, good meat. Now it's not tender, and one of the things people talk about is grass fed and corn fed and all this. I have no problem if you want to do a corn finish. A corn finish is definitely many times a softer and more tasty steak in a way, but is it more nutritious? And this has been my big change in my life. I mean, for many, many years, I'm just as guilty as anybody of eating stuff because it tastes good. It's entertainment, as I call it. Oh, I love that, but is it, good to be eating? Macaroni and cheese from a package with hot dogs as a kid. Well, when you find out how the hot dog's made and then you find out what's in that, today, especially, see, a lot of the stuff I grew up with, which is not very good food to be eating, has gotten even worse because the cheese isn't even cheese anymore. Back then it was powdered cheese. Now they can't even, they call it cheese food. They can't call it just cheese. And you're like, God, everything has gone to chemical. They're lab doing chocolate now. And the companies are busted for having heavy metals in their chocolate, like Lindt. I thought Lindt was a good company from Europe. I thought, wow, they're a good chocolate. And Cadbury, nope, they're just as guilty. Nothing that comes in a package is safe these days. They're lying to people. They've got stuff in there. Now, is it all over the world? Not necessarily. We have people that come down here from Montana and Washington that my neighbors they both have returned back up to the States for the summer, and they took a bunch of sacks of flour with them. Why? Because they can't eat the flour in the United States. They have reactions to it. One son is like an indicator. If there's glyphosate, he gets like sick immediately. It doesn't, like an allergic reaction. But his mom found he can eat all the, if she uses certain flours here in Mexico, not a problem.
I
So,
hear that also from people coming to Europe, because a lot of people cannot eat the bread in America. They come here to Europe and they can eat all the bread. I mean, I guess that's one of the few advantages of Europe. They have but they have stricter regulation when it comes to food and what you can do with the food. And the bread is more bread than the American bread. The American bread is more sugar than bread. And so, like, there's the one thing I really noticed also when I was going to America, and a couple of times I went to America because of podcasts and conferences and all of those things. The food is just way better, like in Austria, and we still have in Austria those like farm stations where just like a farmer puts up a small wooden thing in front of their farm, and you can buy the milk directly from them. They usually also have yogurt and stuff like that that directly comes from there, and it's just so much better. And actually, if you eat a lot of the, like, you've never eaten the farm milk and the farm things, like your stomach probably reacts to that at first because it's a little bit heavier. It's a little bit like I've heard people like, oh yeah, I cannot handle this. Yeah, because you never had real milk, you never had real like the yogurt in your stomach, but it's better for you. Dive
and you
through the first week.
well, less of it. You don't need as much. I mean, I drink a much smaller glass of raw milk than I will of other milk, and I like milk. But when I drink raw milk, it's like, yeah, a few sips, and you're like, okay, I don't need to have a 8 ounce glass, 12 ounce glass necessarily. It's very satiating. It's just like my steak. It's not necessarily the most tender, but you eat it and you get very satiated as a carnivore. And I judge this as carnivores because carnivores, if they're strict like I am, are in keto a lot. And when you're in keto and the ketones are in your blood and you eat this meat, you feel the difference. I mean, literally, any carnivore that really is strict about it, they're like, oh, I know what you mean. It's literally like we feel it coming into our bodies. We feel it energizing us. And you don't get that if I eat other meats or other foods. And if I eat other foods, I fill up my stomach, but I never got the energy hit. It's like, and then the next day I'm kind of dragging and I'm not really moving. I go, well, oh, that's right. I ate that. I had pizza last night. Or I went off, as I say, the rails. I, didn't just stick to my meat, which is fine. Occasionally I do. I eat bread, but if it's sourdough bread made by my neighbor, doesn't bother me at all. If it's homemade, it's like in Europe, I have plenty of friends that they go to Europe. I have a friend that he loves cooking. He knows a great deal about food and cooking, and he goes and takes classes and stuff. He's retired and he loves to travel. And but Pete goes there and he does this stuff of he makes croissants and everything at home. He knows how to make all this stuff. But he goes, you go to Europe and you just eat all the you want. But I come to America and if I eat the same stuff in the same quantities, I'll be sick. I'll be fat. I mean, it just is. The food is not the same, and yet you're buying the same thing. You think like the croissant, but the croissant in America is made with glyphosate and the wheat. It's got issues in the butter. It's got issues in the oil. Everything they use to add in America in Europe, it's much more real. And yeah, people are not used to real food in America. They're literally gotten to where they have generations of eating this garbage. And in many cases, you give them a real strawberry that's organically grown without anything, and they taste it and they're like, "What is this?" And like, that's what the strawberry flavor tastes like. Like everything you're eating is just sweet. It's not, and they go, "This is what, wow." And some people like it, some people don't like it. I go, "I don't like that." I'm like, "Well, that's real strawberry. That's what the flavor is."
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you have like a strawberry yogurt, and you're like, it's not a yogurt, and there's no strawberry in there. It's like, what are you even eating? But it's really interesting. Do you think that this kind of food thing comes from fear, or is that also kind of just human nature, kind of greed, like wanting to like maximum profits?
My feeling is, and I used to say that people are evil, and yes, there are people. I'm finding there it is true. There are plenty of evil out there, people in the sense that they actually knew what they were doing. In many cases, though, it's because of the bad money. It is because of the fiat. It's they create fiat food, as I say, just like fiat medicines. Fiat is an illusion. Okay, it's value because it's forced upon you, not because it's actually there. It's not determined by a market. As they say in America, why is the US dollar so strong? Because the US military is they're trying to prove right now. It's like that's their value. It's not based in is there any value in that money? No, we all know nobody wants to buy the treasuries. I mean, it's kind of the gig's up. Everybody knows the dollar's not worth anything, but then again, the euro's not really worth anything. All fiat money isn't really worth what people claim it is. It's an illusion. Well, the problem with having your asset, your money deteriorating all the time is that people continually have to make more money, not just make the same money and make a decent profit. They have to make more money. So everybody's on this grind to increase their profits at all times. Is that really naturally, in the markets in the world, is that really, if there are no subsidies, no help or anything, is that really the way the market would work? No. Companies get to a point that they make a good profit and they're doing well, and they continue to make that profit, but not necessarily increase it every year. They might increase it over 3 or 4 years in steps. But the way they go about it is they'll lie, cheat, and steal to make that money now. And so farmers get put into a position. I talked to a farmer on my podcast the other day. He came in and he was very open-minded, and I really feel for these guys. And he thinks, oh, you hate us. No, I don't. I don't like commercial farming, big ag as we call it, because farming thousands of acres in the same crop is not environmental. It is not natural. It is not going to produce a good land, nor is it going to produce good product. I will argue with anybody, and we're going to be able to prove this soon. We have new apps and new tools coming that will allow us to, what they call a bricks meter is one thing, it measures sugar content, but they're making apps that are basically, hopefully an app that can go in your phone even. You can scan the plant or the food and find out what the nutritional value is, a rough idea. And they're calibrating the machines right now. I mean, they literally have just made this. And as they load this with the data points, so that then when you scan the broccoli or you scan the spinach or you scan the meat and say, is this worth eating? You're going to be able to go to a store and literally see what the nutritional value is of that food, or at the farm out here at the ranch as I'm growing it. And I'll be able to say, is this cantaloupe nutritious? And I'll tell you this, is I bought a store-bought cantaloupe. I wasn't really planning on eating. I don't eat a lot of fruit, but I bought it because I need fruit and vegetables for my worms. And most people have scraps. I don't always have that much extra. So I just grabbed the cantaloupe one day. They're on sale. They're cheap. And I cutting it up for the worms. And I thought, well, I'm going to try a piece. I used to love cantaloupe. One bite and I was like, oh, there's no flavor in this thing. Like, it was like just cardboard. It was like, oh my God, it looks like a cantaloupe, but it had no taste. But I took the seeds out and go, I'm not going to keep buying them. I'm going to grow up cantaloupe for the worms. The first cantaloupe that came out was huge. And I thought, wow, this thing came out really good. My neighbor was there and he's looking at him. He saw several others. He goes, whoa, these things are huge. And I pulled one out and cut it up, and I couldn't believe the flavor. It was like a totally different, fruit. It was really strong cantaloupe flavor, incredible. And to prove it, not only did my neighbor try it, but a Bitcoiner showed up the next day from town. He's a good friend of mine. I said, hey, do you like cantaloupe? He goes, yeah. I says, I want you to try this. I just want to know what you think. One bite, and he wanted to eat. Yeah, I had 2 of them there, half of one. We ate that right up, and he just kept going. He goes, can I cut? I go, yeah, you can cut into the, and he wanted to eat the whole damn second one. I mean, he was just like, this is the best cantaloupe I've ever had. So what was the difference? How'd that happen? Soil. It's simply what's in the soil. And this is what you end up when you get into permaculture, when you get in, this is what happened to me, and this is happening to a lot of Bitcoiners. They get into Bitcoin. They've done their time. They've started to realize, okay, I've got a decent life ahead of me. It's not such a panic anymore. I've got some value, and I've got some, retirement. So now I want to live. I'm not as depressed. I'm not as, without hope, and I want to be healthier. So they go down the rabbit hole of, now I've got sound money. Now I want my sound health.
With microseed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups, because microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today. And you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io. Finally, we have BTC Prague back in 2026. And this year, I'm not only speaking on a panel, but I'm actually going to present an interesting new angle, a perspective, a bit Bitcoin thesis at BTC Prague this year for the first time ever. I've never done that on any other conference, so this will be a fun one. If you listen to this show on a regular basis, I would love to meet you in Prague this year. It's very high signal, no noise, and Prague is just a freaking amazing city with awesome drinks and a lot of good food. Use code Robin to get 10% off, and if you buy with Bitcoin, you get an additional 5% off your ticket price. I'll see you there in Prague. Make sure to come say hi.
You want sound health, where are you going to get it? Sound food. And when you go down that rabbit hole, you start to realize, where do you get sound food? From sound soil.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast, and if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.